The truth about Susan Collins. I'm Gage, and this is America Divided. 278 days until Election Day in America, and many of you guys know who Maine Senator Susan Collins is. She has been a Republican senator from Maine since 1997. That is 26 years. Now, look, Susan Collins, in my opinion, has had a very interesting story. And the truth of the matter is, she is no different than any corrupt politician in Washington. That is a fact. Now, I'm from Maine, grew up in Maine, and I'll be honest with you, I did not hear much of Susan Collins until the last, I want to say, 5 or 8 years. And the reason being, and I really don't know why, but she seems to be getting a lot more news coverage and a lot more primetime coverage, and people just seem to have a lot more interest about Susan Collins than before. Now, we reported on this, but I want to talk about it once again. Recently, The Hill had tweeted the following: Senator Susan Collins says she will not endorse former President Trump, even if he becomes the Republican Party's nominee for president. Now, this pissed off a lot of Maine citizens, people that voted for Susan Collins, and a lot of Americans around the country. Susan Collins has really had no competition in Maine. The last 26 years, I really don't remember a time when she had ever really been challenged. Maine GOP, and I know some people from the Maine GOP, a lot of them in reality don't want change. They want the same old situation. And it really does infuriate a lot of Americans, a lot of Mainers especially, because Susan Collins really hasn't done much for the state other than be by default incumbent nominee every time there's another Senate election. Susan Collins has done a very good job, I will give her this, at getting along with a lot of different politicians, no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, Libertarian, whatever. But I feel like at the same time, she's essentially just playing politics. And like I said, I think she's just lining her wallet with special interest donor money and everything else, and just saying to Maine, hey, vote for me. Well, who else are you gonna vote for? You gonna vote for a Democrat? Now, Ryan Fournier, if you're ever on X, formerly Twitter, probably have come across some of his tweets, and he's the founder of Students for Trump. It's a big organization that essentially helps Republican students speak out, debate, have a conversation, etc. And he tweeted this recently: Senator Susan Collins' decision not to support Trump is why this party fails when it matters. We have an opportunity of a lifetime to take this country back, and these losers stand against it. I honestly think Senator Susan Collins really needs to rethink her statement about not endorsing President Trump, especially when President Trump is essentially the most popular Republican candidate in the history of the Republican Party, more popular than Abraham Lincoln or any other Republican prominent candidate. And it's funny to me because she's trying to take this road, and I think it's strategic for her. I think honestly, deep down, she doesn't think Trump has a chance of winning the nominee nor the election. And I think she's trying to save herself from looking like a moron if, God forbid, Trump doesn't get the nominee or win the election. A lot of people have turned on President Trump, not voters, but a lot of people, a lot of politicians, especially celebrities, etc., have turned on President Trump and essentially, are using the same old things like racist, bigot. And I think the popular one now is insurrectionist, treasonist, etc., because of what happened back in January 6th. Now, everyone has their own opinions about what happened on January 6th, but personally, and I've said this before, and I know, and I'm not read up on all of the documents surfaced. I don't know the ins and the outs, but from what I saw, because America Divided did do live coverage of the January 6th protest, I feel like for the most part, it was just normal working day Americans that like Trump going out and protesting. It's nothing different than what the Democrats do. It's nothing different than what any of these other people are doing when they feel like they have lost or it was rigged or whatever. And I'm not saying the election was rigged for YouTube's terms of service or any other big tech company out there. I'm just saying that's how a lot of voters felt. Watching the election and I remember watching it, we actually did a live stream for my old podcast, The Midday Mumbles. Shout out to Isaac and Brody. We did a podcast live where it was me and Isaac, and we analyzed essentially the election results. And I remember us ending the stream right around midnight and waking up the next day and seeing these graphs of just what the hell happened. And it just didn't make sense. And I know it didn't make sense to a lot of voters, but what the judges and the Republicans and the Democrats should have done was sat everyone down and explained what happened. They didn't do that. They were afraid to do that. Why were they afraid to do that? Well, because they were afraid that the riots that happened in the summer of 2020, it would happen again, which no one wants. No one wants violence. No one wants any of that. Most Americans, and I'm speaking for the lot of us, just want to live in a free world. We want to live in a country where we have fair representation, where we're not being taxed to all hell, where we can work hard and be proud of what we have and not be worried about the elected officials getting rich off from us getting them in there. You know, it's funny to me, and I say this all the time. I don't know what Nancy Pelosi's exact net worth is, but it's in the hundreds of millions. How does someone that makes only six figures a year, I think it's $160,000 a year being a senator, how do they become worth hundreds of millions of dollars? It makes no sense. It makes no logical sense. And I'm not an accountant. I'm not an economics major. I don't know the ins and the outs of everything in this world. I know there's a lot of people that claim they are. I'm not. But the numbers don't add up for me. And I know a lot of it comes from the fact that they are, and I feel like this is pretty cut and dry, but they're insider trading. They're taking information. They're passing laws that are going to make certain investments work for them. And they're taking money from these big corporations, lobbyists, to vote on things that are going to help them make billions of dollars. And Susan Collins is no exception to this. Now, the fact of the matter is, we need someone new. We need all new senators. We need to get Susan Collins out of there, Mitch McConnell. We need to clear the rhinos out. We need more people like Senator Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know she's very radical, and I know a lot of people don't like her because she's just, I would say, a pain in the ass to the Democrats. But we need more people like that. And we need more people like that on both sides. Younger people that are driven for change, because that is the only way that America is going to progress in a way that makes sense. We need to have term limits in Congress too. I've said this for many years now, and I know a lot of you guys agree out there. We need term limits. 26 years serving in the Senate. Being in public service should not be a lifetime career. And I'm glad that you can only be president of the United States twice. Because imagine someone being so popular like Barack Obama and just being president for 50 years. That would be ridiculous. And if there weren't term limits, I know it would happen. It would. Reagan would have been president through the 90s, probably. Maybe that's not true, but I feel like it would have happened if he would have wanted more terms. Term limits are good. They limit power, they limit control, they limit the amount of time you have. There should be 2 term limits. You can be senator twice. That's it. It works like that with everything else. Why not in the Congress? Why not Senate? Why not the House of Representatives? Why do we need Nancy Pelosi in there for God only knows how many years she's been in there? There are photos of these senators from when they were freshmen in the Congress, and they look nothing like they do now. They've aged, and they're making laws that affect our lives. How does that make any sense? I'm curious. I want to know. How does that make a bit of logical sense? It makes no sense. And the fact of the matter is, the fact that she's not willing to buck up and endorse, and I'm not even saying endorse, but support President Trump, really gets on my nerves. You have a popular president who actually did good and change. No new wars, peace in the Middle East, lowest unemployment since 1960. The cost of living was actually reasonable. You could buy groceries and not be afraid that you're not going to be able to pay your car payment or your mortgage. It's true, but they don't give him any credit. They don't give Trump any credit. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he was the first president to go into North Korea. He risked his life to have Thanksgiving with the troops in Afghanistan. And you hear the liberals say, where was Biden on Thanksgiving? Why wasn't he in Afghanistan? Why wasn't he in Iraq? Where the hell was he? In the White House with crack smoking Hunter? Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, and all the other countries are laughing at us. They're laughing at us because we're weak. We have a weak leader. And that's a fact. Fact checkers, fact check me till the cows come home. It's true. I sounded Italian there, but it's true. And I say this, but it's going to be more than just winning this upcoming election. This is a fight that is never going to end. These radicals on the left, they want to, and it makes no sense to me. They just, they want the entire United States to be California with the rainbow-haired freaks and the safe spaces and the 4-day work week and the saunas and the spas at Google. That's what they want for everyone. They don't want you to own anything. No more owning land or a house. You're going to rent. You're not going to be able to own a car. You're probably going to have to rent that too. And every dime that you work your ass off for is going to these politicians to spend on what? Stupid wars? Legislation that doesn't help the common man or woman? This needs to end now. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this. And I mean share this with everyone because the buck stops here. I've been Gage. Thank you guys all for watching. I'm signing off.